Perfect. Thank you, Lisa. All right, so it is 6 o'clock, so we are going to get started. If anyone jumps on, the sound is off, so everyone's muted, so there shouldn't be a distraction to anyone. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Ariane. I'm the owner of the Movement Paradigm, and I thought that at this time, a time of complete uncertainty, of fear of the unknown, it's affecting so many lives and all of you in so many different ways. I think that this is even more of an important time to share the practice of mindfulness and remember that there's lots of ways that we can control our response to this situation. So before we start, I'm going to just actually jump right into a seated meditation. So if you have never meditated before, that is totally fine. And if you have, that's okay too. So I'm going to ask you to just find a comfortable position. So that could be lying down, that could be seated, that could be whatever is most comfortable to you. You can feel free to grab blankets or pillows to really just make yourself comfortable during this practice. Okay. So when you're ready, again, just finding a comfortable position. Closing your eyes if that feels comfortable to you, or keeping them open. Feeling the contact of your body against the ground. If you're seated, feeling the soles of the feet connected to the ground, or the weight of your body and your back on the ground. Just simply noticing what you feel like in this moment. Noticing any emotions that come up. Noticing any thoughts that come up. And also paying attention to what you feel like in your body physically. Noticing if there's any tension or pain anywhere. And not necessarily doing anything with that, except just noticing what your experience is right now. Taking a seat in the middle of your life, right here, right now. And when you're ready, just gently bringing your awareness to your breath. Noticing your in-breath and your out-breath. Thinking of it like waves moving in and out of your body, and you are simply riding the waves of your breath. You can feel free to come back to your breath at any point during this practice as a safe place, as an anchor. If for some reason the breath does not feel like a safe place for you, gently bringing your awareness to the feet, the soles of your feet. Whether they are connected to the ground or not. Just noticing the contact with the ground. Whether it's your entire foot or your heel. Feeling the connectedness, the groundedness. And you can always use this as an anchor to bring yourself back from any wandering thoughts that you might have. And remembering that wandering thoughts are normal. We're all human. And the act of meditation, the practice of meditation, is simply bringing your awareness back from those wandering thoughts into your present body. Now gently bringing your awareness to any sounds that you might hear, whether that's a TV or people talking, or birds chirping, or cars driving by, or perhaps a fan. Once again, just noticing the sounds. And bringing your awareness to, once again, the physical sensations in your body. Do you feel like you notice any tension or position that doesn't feel comfortable? Remembering that mindfulness means managing what you need at the time. So feeling free to change your position and making sure that you're comfortable at all times. And now bringing your awareness to your entire body in this totality of the experience of just sitting here, being present in your body. Remembering that you can come back to your breath or to your feet as an anchor, or perhaps the sounds in the room, or anything that feels comfortable to you, as a way to bring yourself back into your present body, the present moment. And you can take this wisdom with you in your life, especially during this time of uncertainty. Using these anchors at any time to keep you safe. So when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and bring yourself back to the room, staying in whatever position feels comfortable to you at the moment. And then what I would love for you to do, and I forgot to say this earlier, if you have a pen and paper, that would be great. So I'll give you a second to just find that. And typically in a mindfulness group, we have the opportunity to share our experience, because a lot of mindfulness is really understanding and appreciating other people's experiences. And so what I'd love for you to do is write down on a piece of paper. So I'm going to give you kind of a guide for each practice that we do, of what were your emotions, your thoughts, and your physical sensations in that particular experience. So a lot of times we often think of comparing it to a meditation we've done before, or how we should feel. And there isn't a right and wrong in mindfulness. It really is paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. So that's all I want you to do, is write down those three things. So it'll be what emotions came up for you. For example, did it bring up more stress? So there's no promises about mindfulness. So sometimes just sitting still can cause more stress or tension, and that is okay. And just write that down, write that that's what your experience was. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a positive experience. It could sometimes be a negative experience. But you being able to really recognize that and tune in is so, so powerful. So like I said, I'll just give you a couple minutes before we move to the next thing. And if you've already finished, you can just sit and just be present for a second. And sometimes it's challenging to think and reflect on those practices, but this is something that is a really good exercise, because a lot of times we tend to tune out to what's happening in our body, especially when all of this stress is around us. So it's a really good opportunity to force you to think about it. When I'm journaling for mindfulness, every day I'm writing down these things, and it's a great learning process, and it's something that you can take with you in lots of aspects of your life. All right, so hopefully everybody had enough time to do that. If not, you can come back to it. We're going to do that a couple more times. So the next thing that I wanted to share with you is a poem, and we're going to kind of go through the same thing of just reflecting on this. And this is by a 13th century Persian poet, named Rumi. Some of you may be very familiar with this poem, but I think it's a really appropriate time for this. And, I'll kind of hopefully spark a little bit of reflection afterwards. So the guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every moment, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture. Still treat every guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent to you as a guide. I think this is so powerful, because it is a reminder to us to not necessarily resist all of these things that are happening right now, but to really kind of, as this says, is kind of open our arms and welcome them in, because ultimately this could be something that could totally change us in a very positive way. It has affected our entire country, and in some ways in a really negative way, but then in other ways everyone is coming together to support it. So think of this as just one example. This is a major example that we are all experiencing, but think of all the little things in our day-to-day lives where we have arguments with people, where we have just negative interactions, where we have all of this stress related to work. And if we think about these possibly negative type things or emotions, if we welcome them in with open arms, it can open up the door and the opportunity for something amazing to happen. Whether you're in business and you are greatly affected by this, or you are a mom that all of a sudden has to watch her kids for 2 weeks, you can see the beauty in that it's a gift to be able to spend time with the people that you love that you never have time to do. For business owners, it's an opportunity for them to really think outside the box and think about new things that they could possibly do. And of course, everyone in between. So I'm going to have you just, once again, just kind of take a minute on this aspect and just write down a couple notes of reflection of what this means to you, of how could you use this example right now in your life based on what's happening. is there an opportunity that you don't see right now, that something really positive could come out of this? Just kind of write down maybe a couple things that potentially you're thinking and feeling, which once again, there is nothing wrong with anything that you're thinking and feeling. If you feel stressed, write stressed. If you feel overwhelmed, write overwhelmed. If you feel sad, whatever it might be, because we have to feel our emotions. That's really important, and acknowledge our emotions. But then write, what could be the possible gift or the possible opportunity that could come out of all of this? So I'll give you a couple minutes on this. And you can feel free to write a few things if you'd like. Okay, so hopefully you came up with a few things. Might be something you have to revisit. So the next thing that we're gonna discuss is diaphragmatic breathing. So this is something that I talk about with my patients on a regular basis. And it is something from, we'll say, a mechanical standpoint as it relates to core function that's really important. But I call breathing your superpower, because it really is something that we can use to regulate our nervous system. And it can be such a powerful, powerful tool. And as little as 3 diaphragmatic breaths, yes, count that, 3 diaphragmatic breaths, you can literally put yourself into a more relaxed state, which at this point we need all the time. So when you're breathing diaphragmatically, I'm just going to have everybody do this with me. So you can place one hand on your chest and one hand on your abdomen. So as you inhale, first I just want you to take a normal breath and just see what happens. So see if your neck and shoulders move first, like this, or see if your abdomen moves first. Okay, so you're just kind of assessing what's happening. And now, if you happen to be breathing from here, I want you to think about shifting that so we can actually breathe from the diaphragm. So as you inhale, think about breathing in through the nose with the mouth closed. Inhaling, filling up the abdomen like a big balloon. So we'll say 360 degrees of pressure. And then you exhale, and then your belly button will come in towards the spine and the ribs come down. So we're going to try 3 diaphragmatic breaths here. So nice slow breaths. So you can do it at your own pace. Sometimes you might get a swallow or a sigh, sometimes even a yawn. All of those things are really powerful. Those are all signs of relaxation of the nervous system. So that's a good sign if that happens. But essentially, just those 3 diaphragmatic breaths can calm you down. I don't know how you feel right this second, but hopefully as the practice continues on, you will start to feel a little bit more settled in. So initially, when we first sit down to, at 6 o'clock, for example, the first meditation could have been really challenging because you were thinking about so many different things. And then as we continue to go, it might be a little bit easier to tune into your body. It may not be. So I can't control anybody's experience. That's just your experience. And it's not good or bad. It's just what it is. And that's all we're looking at with the practice of mindfulness. So Now, a great way to practice the breathing is I like to recommend every hour of the day, try to take 3 deep breaths. So that means that you might check in with yourself at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it might be really easy. But then you do it at 9 after you've watched the news and you realize your first breath is all the way from here. So at that time, it might take you 10 breaths just to be able to get to a diaphragmatic breath. But we breathe 20 to 25,000 times a day. So every breath matters. The more that you're breathing from here, the more of a stress response. So, and also neck tension, in case you're experiencing that lately. So it's super powerful, just remembering that this is, like I said, what I call your superpower. So we're going to move into a body scan next. And in the body scan, you can feel free to lie down. Typically just kind of lying down, arms, palms up, palms down, whatever feels comfortable is the common position. However, you could do the body scan in a seated position. You could be on a chair. This is a little longer of a practice, so you do want to make sure that you're totally comfortable. So whether you, like I said, you have blankets and pillows, you just want to feel good. Okay, so I'll let you just take about 30 seconds to a minute or so just to make sure you get set, and then we will move into the body scan. All right. So I invite you all to find a comfortable position, lying on your back with your arms outstretched, legs outstretched, or seated in a chair, or on the floor if that's more comfortable. Choosing to open your eyes or close your eyes, whatever feels more comfortable as well. And then just taking this opportunity to once again notice any emotions that you have right now, any thoughts that come up for you. Noticing any tension in your body or pain. Remembering that during this practice, thoughts will come and go. They may wander. And you can always use one of your anchors to bring yourself back to the practice, whether that's your breath or your feet or the sounds or even perhaps the hands on the floor. So noticing your breath once again. Noticing the in-breath and the out-breath. And simply riding the waves of your breath. Noticing the temperature as it enters into your body. Is it warm or cool? And then noticing as it leaves your body. Remembering that we breathe 20 to 25,000 times a day. And this is a constant feature of life. It can be a safe place for you to always come back to. And now moving your awareness to inside of your abdomen. Noticing if there's any gut feelings that you might have. Remembering that this is your intuition. It intimately connects to your brain. And how we eat affects how we think and our mood. And how we think affects how our gut feels. And just noticing what comes up for you here. And if it's nothing, that's okay. Now gently moving your awareness to the bottom of your feet. Your feet are our gateway to the nervous system. Hundreds of nerve endings on the bottom of them. Just noticing how your feet feel to you. Feel free to wiggle your toes and then relax them. Just noticing if there's any tension in them. Then moving on to the lower leg. If you're lying down, noticing the contact of the calf with the floor. And how does that feel in your body? Do you notice any temperature here? Is it cool or warm? And perhaps you can even feel the pulse in your ankle. And moving along to your thigh. Remembering that your legs are what carry you through all day long. So how do they feel to you right now? Do they feel heavy or relaxed? And then moving to the pelvis and your hips. This is oftentimes where we hold a lot of tension. We can tend to hold our emotions here. We tend to hold our stress here. So just checking in to see how that feels for you. Do you notice your breath into your pelvis as you breathe in? If it is tense, are you able to relax it? Once again, checking in on your breath, that constant feature. Remembering that you can always come back to this if any thoughts begin to wander. And then sensing your heartbeat. Is it beating fast or slow? And does that bring up any emotions for you? And moving your awareness to your upper arm. Just noticing the pull of gravity. Seeing if there's any tension in there. And moving your awareness to your hands and lower arm. Feel free to wiggle your fingers, just bringing blood and life into them, and then relaxing them. Feeling the contact with the ground or perhaps on your lap. Thinking of how much they do for us all day. Remembering to give some attention to them because the lack of human contact has been so great recently. And as humans, we thrive on touch, on human touch. So remembering that you can use this as a way to connect. Moving your awareness to your neck and your shoulders. Once again, noticing any tension that you might have here, or perhaps noticing the breath as you inhale. Is there any pain here? Or tightness on one side than the other? Or maybe even tingling? And bring your awareness to your jaw. Just seeing if there's any clenching or tension there. And just gently open your jaw and noticing how it affects your entire body. What expression do you have on your face? And can you relax it? And perhaps even smile and see how that feels to you. How much pressure does it take to keep your eyes closed if they are? And once again, could you relax that? And then moving to the top of your head. Are there any thoughts that arise? Is there any tingling or pressure? Perhaps even a headache? And you don't need to try to make that go away. Just simply notice it if it is there. And then once again, moving your awareness from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head. Being in the totality of this experience. Noticing that your breath, once again, has been a constant feature of your practice. Thanking yourself for dedicating this time tonight to heal your body physically, emotionally, and mentally. and that you could take this deep wisdom that your body offers you with you during the day, during the week, and during all of these stressful times. So when you're ready, you take your time. You can gently come back to the room, gently opening your eyes. And so when you feel ready, I'd love for you to just jot a couple things down once again, and just about your experience in that particular session. So you can write what emotions you had. So say, for example, you felt relaxed, or you felt content, or you felt sad. So like I said, it doesn't have to be a positive thing, so please remember that. What thoughts did came up for you? Did you start fixing the world's problems, for example? Sometimes we can go down the rabbit hole, but hopefully sometimes somebody will come up with a cure for cancer, and definitely with this COVID-19. So, so those are good too. So write down whatever thoughts you had, and then especially your physical sensation. So, for example, as I was sitting here, I kind of felt like my foot was feeling really uncomfortable. So while I was practicing, so I would write that, oh, my left foot felt really uncomfortable while I was there. So I had to move to manage my body to make sure that I felt okay to continue my practice. So just go ahead and take a few minutes there. All right, so hopefully you were able to find some things. I know, like I said, that can be a really challenging aspect of it, but it's really powerful. It's really powerful exercise. So wanted to do one more thing, and then just quickly, and then I'm going to give you some kind of mindful tips to take with you for the week. So if you have your pen with you, I want you to go ahead and grab your pen, we'll say with the right hand, okay? And I want you to think of the pen as this COVID-19 virus, okay? So I want you to white knuckle the pen, right? So I want you to kind of squeeze it as hard as you can. And I want you to feel what's happening in your body, okay? So feel whatever tension you have, whether it's just in your hand, in your face, your jaw, just kind of feel it. Keep holding, keep holding. Okay, good. So of course I can, or no one else should say to you, let it go, right? Because if we let that go, it would just mean that, okay, we don't need to worry about it. So obviously none of us are at that point where this isn't relevant to our lives. Obviously that's why you're all here. But what we can do now, put it in your left hand. And now what I'd love you to do is just open your hand. So that can mean that we are changing how we hold it in our body. So notice how there's no tension. Sorry, we still have it here, but there's no tension in our body. There's no physical response. So we can see the situation differently. So we can change how we hold it, how we react. So instead of reacting, we can respond. And when we can open our hand, that can really change how the stress is affecting us. Because if we continue to white knuckle it, we are going to significantly affect our immune system. I could go on about a lot of different aspects, but the whole goal is that we don't want to get this virus, but the more stress and anxiety you have, the greater the inflammation response, and the greater effect on your immune system. So it is really important that we use these different tools and practices to help all of us. We all need this right now. Every single one of us needs some kind of practice. It doesn't have to be a formal practice, but we need to be able to think about these aspects and really respond rather than react. So with that, I'm going to just finish off with a few kind of mindful tips. Obviously there's many, but I just wanted to, based on what we did today, just give you some suggestions. I think the first thing is, I'm sure that many of you can relate to this, that, the news is on all day long, and every time you're looking, there's a new update, and then you open Facebook and there's something, it's just constant stimulation. I would strongly recommend just trying to listen to the news one time a day from a reliable source, whatever that is to you. But that can really negate some of this constant undue stress on your body. I think that it's just that constant stimulation of what's going to happen. And like I said, stress is fear of the unknown and uncertainty. So it's just causing more and more stress the more that we're looking at the news and listening to people. So I would strongly recommend just, picking one time a day and just listening to the news for yourself. And that's it. So that's more of kind of a lifestyle thing, but I think a really important one. The second thing is to, as I mentioned earlier, try to take 3 deep breaths every hour. So using the breath as a way to calm your nervous system down, and you can also do it before you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning. So while you're in bed, you can just take, 10 breaths or so just to really calm your system, especially as you're unwinding and down-regulating your nervous system before you go to bed. But in the morning, it's a great way to center yourself and calm yourself, regardless of if you have a dedicated practice or not. This is something that we can all do, and do it intentionally and purposefully throughout the day. And then the last but not least is taking 5 minutes just for you. So I am going to send you some recordings. So I'll send you a 5-minute seated meditation, which sometimes, although is shorter, is a little bit of a more challenging practice than the body scan. I'm not sure what everyone's experience was, but oftentimes the body scan is a little bit easier. It's people tend to enjoy that a little bit more if you haven't been practicing regularly. So I will send you a 5-minute and I will send you a 10-minute as a guide. And if you don't use it, no worries at all. But if it's not that, just taking 5 minutes just to be. So whether you decide to sit and just read a book, whether you sit and, like I said, breathe for 5 minutes, you do a few yoga poses or some mindful movement, whatever it is for you, but it's just for you, and there's no distractions. So there isn't, phones or kids screaming at you or, whatever it might be, just that, and that might take a little work to figure out when are you going to have those 5 minutes. I recognize that. But if you don't have those 5 minutes to just center yourself and really just be present with whatever is happening, then this, kind of added stress is really going to begin to accumulate. So I would just like I said, recommend just trying to not fit in, but build in 5 minutes. There's a totally different mentality with that. So building in your 5 minutes rather than fitting it in. And I think that can be so powerful. And if you choose to continue with a meditation practice, like I said, I will send you those. But with that, just remembering that so mindfulness and meditation isn't a good or bad, right or wrong. I'll just kind of say the definition one more time. So it's paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. So you can practice mindfulness all day long, everywhere you are. You could be emptying your dishwasher and thinking about what's actually happening. You can think about being outside and actually hearing the birds and smelling the fresh air and really tuning into your senses. So you can practice mindfulness everywhere all day long. and really begin to just become aware and be attentive. And that's really the simplest way to say it is just that, is just being aware. And if you've ever noticed these things, I will give you some examples of when you have waited to go to the bathroom way too long because you were too busy doing something. That is an example of totally tuning out of your body because you were on autopilot with something else. If you're on autopilot, I'm sure you've driven to work one day where you don't remember anything. Your car just kind of pulled up on its own. So we could give 1,000 examples, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you just want to be able to think of how can you, sorry, there's some pop-up that just came up. Sorry, I don't know if anyone even sees that. So you just want to be able to think about how you can tune in on a regular basis, and just pay attention. So thank you all so much for joining me. I think we had a really good turnout. We had about 20, let's say 21. So thank you so much, and I hope this was helpful. Feel free to drop me an email. My email is drarianne@themovement.com. If you have any questions, like I said, I will definitely get those out to you tomorrow. And hopefully that was helpful. And I'm happy to answer any questions for you and be a resource for you. So thank you, and stay well amidst all of this. Take care. Bye, guys.